So you're on live with us. What would you like to talk about?
Okay, I've never done this before. So, okay, can I just go back to my email and read kind of what I wrote, maybe?
Okay, but I think it'll be more compelling for people who just speak from the heart.
Okay, sure. Okay. Sorry, I just got nervous. Okay. So I'm 31-year-old female. I've been married for 8 beautiful years and without children by personal choice.
Okay.
My husband desires children very much. I do not. But when looking back at childhood, I imagined my life married with children. And when I met my husband, I still desired a growing family at some point. Like, not right away, but eventually. So the one thing that has changed is I experienced trauma.
Mm-hmm.
I battled cancer 2 years after, like, our wedding. I was, like, 26, 27 years old when I battled cancer, and, like, Baruch Hashem, I'm in remission.
Thank God, yeah.
Yeah, so there's trauma there. Okay, so anyone who's ever dealt with trauma, you deal with it to a certain point. You feel trauma-free, and then you dig a little more, and there's more, and there's always more. So right now I could tell you I'm 100%, I've done the work, but we know that there's always more work to be done. Anyway, yes. So my husband is amazing, understanding, talk about everything, thank God.
Thank God, yeah.
If he didn't desire children, this wouldn't be a topic. This wouldn't be a sikha. It wouldn't be a discussion. Like, I would just be like, okay, no kids. Like, awesome. But I know in my bones that he was born to be a father. And I don't doubt that I would be a tremendous mother. Like, my personality, I'm very it's not that. And so when I really have done the work to dig deep and sit with myself and daven and sit with myself in a very spiritual way, it comes down to the pregnancy part of it all. And I understand you can become a mother without pregnancy, but specifically here I'm talking about pregnancy. And I guess I've already self-diagnosed myself. I'll just share.
Okay.
But what I think, and I don't know because I don't want to like tip you off of what you think, but I think that, and this might sound dark.
You're
to some people, but
afraid that you're going to bias me, that by you saying what you think of your situation, it's going to lead me in that direction.
Yes.
Well, you're 100% right, but I want to tell you why it's not a problem. You use the term self-diagnosis. In my opinion, okay, so first of all, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a clinician. I don't do any type of diagnosis. So when we use the term diagnosis, we're using it colloquially, meaning we're using it as an expression. Okay. So that by diagnosis, what we mean is an assessment, right? And that's how you meant it, but I just want to explain to the listeners. Okay. The only diagnosis that ever matters is self-diagnosis. I'm going to say that again. The only diagnosis that ever matters is self-diagnosis. To the extent that there was, I forget his name now, he was one of the fathers of modern medicine. He was actually a Canadian doctor. Somebody will Google it and put it in the chat. But he used to say, listen to the patient. He is telling you the diagnosis. Okay, I believe that we are incredibly intuitive and that we know what our problem is. One of the skills that I've developed over the years is listening for this self-diagnosis moment where somebody will tell me what their problem is. I hold on to it. I wait till they're done telling their story. Then I just say back to them what they told me. And they say, you're amazing. How did you know that? And I say, you told me. And it's not just a party trick of impressing people like they think you read their mind. It's called cold reading, actually, where you guess around the words that people are using and, until you guess warmer and warmer. But there's something spiritually true about this. We are intuitive. We are in tune. We do know ourselves. Okay, sometimes there's confusion that's layered on top of that, and so we speak to somebody who's compassionate, who can help us to pull away the layers of confusion. But there's no doubt in my mind that each of us really does know what our issue is. And so with that whole long introduction, what I want to say to you is, own it. Just tell me. You know what it is. So tell it to me, and we'll talk through it. You name what it is, and then we'll talk through it. You with me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's bullseye. Yes.
That's bullseye. Okay.
And I do,
Okay.
they relate to being a very intuitive, spiritual, kind of highly sensitive person. Anyway, so back to the pregnancy factor.
Yeah. But you were about to tell me what it is about you.
Yeah. I think it comes down to the thought I guess I'll go back to the trauma, is that,
Yeah.
I'm sorry about the dog barking in the background, that goes back to the trauma is, I'm sorry that this will sound dark, but it's the truth,
Okay.
is that I just lived for a very long time thinking, okay, will I see tomorrow? Will I fall asleep tonight and see tomorrow? So I eventually desensitized myself to become very comfortable with the thought of death in like a very logical way. And I'm saying that without emotion right now.
Yeah.
And so that's what kept me in survival mode. It protects you. And so I don't know if this makes sense, but I'm almost protecting myself from deeply bonding with the baby in the womb, because I'm in the back of my head, I still think, well, what if I live an ephemeral life?
Yeah.
So I'm almost like cutting away to guard myself.
100%.
And I'm okay with that. I'm so okay with that too.
And if you wouldn't be married to your husband who's destined to be an awesome father, it wouldn't be an issue because you would just move on in life.
Right.
Right. But Hashem in his infinite wisdom saw to it that you are married to your husband. And so it is an issue and it is a conflict. Exactly. But I just want to tell you something. Exactly. I 100% believe your, what we're calling quote unquote diagnosis. I think you nailed it. I think that's 100% what it is. I just want to say it back to you because it might hit a little bit different when you hear it in another person's voice. You were told something that nobody wants to hear. You were told that your life was at risk. The doctor said you're not well. And that's the worst news that you can get. And you were living with that shock, which you call a trauma. You rightly call that a trauma, the trauma of being told you could die, God forbid. And one of the ways you survived that emotionally and mentally during the years before your remission was you embraced death. And you said, okay, if it's here for me, great. And you became ambivalent about life and death. And you did that as a coping mechanism because you knew that you needed to retain your sanity. And that's how you did it. And you did retain your sanity. But and thank God you went into remission. But now, even though the cancer is in remission, there's this mental holdover, which is, I spent 2 years hypnotizing myself for survival purposes that I don't care about life, and I can't shake that feeling. It's still with me. And how am I supposed to care about a baby's life growing inside of me if I don't even care about my own life? If you want to adjust anything that I've just said, please feel free to do so.
I would say I connected with all of it, except for that last sentence. Is I so value life, and I can value a child's life.
Your own life?
Just to add
your
another
own life?
Own life and others.
Okay.
I do. I feel purposeful. It took me time to regain that purpose, but I'm there. Thank God. It's. I guess I'll just throw another layer in here. Is I've even been able to wrap my mind around the thought of like adopting, or if it was like halakhically kosher surrogacy, like, which I know sounds wild, but I'm like, it's like something very specific about carrying a child that makes me feel like physically ill. Like that part of that's the factor. And I've had to soften to the thought of parenting, right? I've had to understand after, like you said, Hashem's like, you're with your husband, like it's coming up. It's going to be a sikha for all the time. And so
can I ask you,
that is the specific factor.
Is any aspect of the fear the very reasonable fear that pregnancy will be difficult on your body and you're not physically up to it?
Part of it is.
Okay.
But I think that every physical is rooted in something.
100%.
In a seed that is,
You are 100%
so
correct.
That's really what I'm.
Okay. So you are a God-fearing woman, a believing Jew, and here's what I want to advise you on this part of it. There are multiple parts of this situation. So what I'm about to tell you only deals with one part of it. But regarding the fear about physically being up to it, health-wise, here's what I recommend to you. You have a physician, a doctor that you know and who cares about you and knows your story? Okay. Okay, thank God. You ask this doctor, even if you know what the answer is, you ask the doctor, do I have medical approval to be pregnant? Now, you might tell me, I've already asked, I already know, but I'm saying you even get it in writing. It doesn't have to be, but I'm saying if that would make you feel more comfortable, yes, the doctor says you are able to withstand pregnancy, that it's medically advisable. Okay? Now, I'm just curious. The likelihood is if you asked your doctor would say it is medically advisable or not?
Yes. I never thought to ask, and not to sound like arrogant, but like I don't really care what other people think, even if it is a doctor. I know,
but let me tell you. I know that, but I'm telling you why. But I'm in the middle of a two-step process. Okay. Because I told you from the beginning that it's fine, but I told you you're a God-fearing woman and a believing Jew. So this is why I'm telling you. Then you go to a Rav, a real Rav, a rabbi who can make halachic decisions on health issues. The kind of rabbi they call when, God forbid, there are end-of-life issues, or when there's a pregnancy which is a risk to the mother. Someone who can make real life and death decisions. And if you can't find such a person, then contact me through email, and I'll refer you to someone who has this level of expertise, a halachic.
Thank you.
What we call a paisik, somebody who has the ability to make halachic decisions regarding medical issues. And you go to this Rav and you say, I had cancer, I'm in remission. I asked my doctor says it is medically advisable, meaning if I so desire, I am, okay, it's medically okay for me to withstand pregnancy. I want to be told that according to Torah, it is permissible for me, because Torah will not allow you to do anything that would put your life in danger. So the reason I want you to ask for this psak, for this halachic ruling, is because at least that part of your hesitancy, I know that I said before, there are different parts of this issue, but that part about it, about being concerned just physically if you're up for it, if you have a Rav tell you that according to Torah, you are able to do this, this doesn't just give you permission, it empowers you, it gives you the spiritual wherewithal to actually do it. And I believe that for someone like you, that would be incredibly meaningful, and it would give you a lot of strength and clarity. Yeah. So that piece of it, okay, so that resonates with you. So that piece of it, I would do that procedure. Go to a doctor who knows you and say, I know this sounds crazy, maybe even think this is like a no-brainer. I want to be told that it is medically advisable for me to withstand pregnancy, or not. And if it's not, then it's not. Okay. In which case, then you go to the same Rav and you say, it's medically unadvisable for me to get pregnant. And if a doctor tells you it's not safe for you to be pregnant, the rabbi will tell you, you're not allowed to get pregnant. You're not allowed. So Torah will always put health first. So if a doctor says it's medically unadvisable, a rabbi will tell you. Then Torah will not only tell you you don't have to get pregnant, Torah will tell you you're not allowed to endanger yourself. You're not allowed to endanger yourself. But if it is medically advisable, and then the rabbi tells you it is permissible, then I think that, I know you say you don't care what other people think, but this is how we get Hashem's green light, so to speak. The Hashem gave us a system of Torah, and there's a system for how to receive a ruling, an authoritative ruling, and I know that this would be meaningful to you.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we have part of a solution. Not the whole solution, but we have part of a solution. Okay. But let's talk about the trauma, and let's talk about, because I understand it partially, but not completely. I get this, that you basically adopted this attitude of, I call it being ambivalent about life and death, but, sort of just accepting, okay, if I die, I die. Not in I don't mean it in a callous way, but more like in a way of being courageous about it. Okay. And then, I want to understand this. Explain it to me a little bit more. What you're left with now. What's your current attitude?
Yeah, I don't think about it day to day anymore, thank God. It took a long time to get here, for a lot of work. But the attitude is, it goes with my personality. I'm not a vulnerable person naturally. I'm very guarded. I don't trust humans. I trust God.
It came up twice
and
now.
My husband.
JFYI.
And animals.
The fact that you don't trust people came up twice.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. So I guess
do you know where that comes from, by the way? Just for fun. Sometimes things are connected. I mean, everything is always connected. Sometimes we see the connections.
I've never been hurt by someone to say, hey, I had this incident and this, but I guess I've always been that observant child in the room watching, and I was kind of the adult as a kid. And so I always remember seeing people being like, hey, I don't want to be that emotional mess over there. I don't want, I want that's kind of how I was.
Are you the oldest child?
I know I'm number 4 of 5 girls.
4 of 5. So why are you so hyper competent? Why were you a little adult as a child? Because if you tell me you're a firstborn, that's very textbook.
I don't have the answer to that. I don't have the answer to that.
But you're saying you're hypersensitive and you always noticed a lot of stuff?
I notice everything.
You notice everything. And maybe you noticed so much that it made you feel unsafe?
I definitely lacked, I was physically safe. I lacked emotional stability, for sure.
Right.
And to me, stability and security are the most important things.
And nobody could take care of it for you, so you developed this hyper-independence and lack of trust in people.
Very hyper-independent.
Yeah.
People are just people.
People are just people. That's, by the way, I know that it comes from a dysfunctional coping mechanism in you where you say that people are just people, but it actually happens to be true. And it's a very healthy attitude. People are just people. And one of the ways that we get burnt is when we start putting people on a pedestal, because really trust should only be trust in Hashem. We could love people, we could connect with people, we can sympathize with them, but it's not always, it's usually never a good idea to put our trust in people, because they're people. They're just people. Even me, it's I know people look, the rabbi, he's so smart. No, I'm just a guy. And by the way, I get the feeling from you that even when you're talking to me, which is refreshing for me, because a lot of people talk to me like I'm, channeling some higher truth. I get the sense you're also you respect the fact that I'm talking to you, but you understand that everything that I'm saying, I'm a human being and it could be wrong.
This is my first time doing anything like this.
Because you don't trust people. Okay.
I've never.
Okay, so amazing.
I've never sat in therapy.
Because you don't, again, because you don't trust people. Okay, but this is great. Okay, and at the end of the day, like I said earlier when we're talking about your self-diagnosis, I said that you know the truth intuitively. So at the end of our whole conversation, I'm not going to even ask you to trust me. I'm only going to ask you to trust yourself, because whatever conclusion we come to is going to be your own intuitive conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So help me understand a little bit about this attitude toward life that you were left with after the trauma of the health scare, and how that makes it difficult to want to carry a pregnancy. I want to understand it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. That's the big she'elah. That's the big question here. I don't have the answer as far as the actual pregnancy, but I do know that I guard myself, and I'm all in or I'm all out, like emotionally, logically, physically, all the things. And so it's almost like, is this a cop out for me to just not be?
Do you know the expression?
As bonded.
Have you ever heard the expression? Sorry to cut you off, but have you ever heard the expression? There's no such. What do you say?
I said no. Go ahead.
Okay. Have you ever heard the expression? And it's sort of like a comedic expression, comical expression. There's no such thing as a little bit pregnant.
Maybe I feel like maybe my mom has said that, but she's a funny.
All right.
I don't know.
Well, regardless of whether you're familiar with the expression, you understand what it means. There's no such thing as a little bit pregnant. It's you either are or you are not. Right? It's not something like, let me test it out a little bit. You know, let me get a little bit pregnant and see how it goes, and then if I don't like it, this is the ultimate all or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, you're coming down on nothing. I just I can't get into this.
Mm-hmm.
Because to be into it means 100% commitment, which is 100% commitment to the idea that what? Being pregnant would be 100% commitment to what idea, to what truth that you're just not comfortable with right now? The truth that what?
Parenting or having a child, I don't know.
I'm saying, what bigger idea?
Being pregnant.
Yeah, well, being pregnant is just, I don't want to sound crass, but like lots of people get pregnant.
I guess somebody depending. I don't know.
Somebody depending on you?
I don't know, me being there. I don't know.
No. You do know. You're saying awesome. Somebody depending on you. So this doesn't even have to do with your cancer. This has to do with your childhood. No, it doesn't.
No, I'm saying depending.
No, because
I need to be alive in the world for them.
This goes back long before when you were in your 20s. This goes back to when you were the little girl who was sensitive to everything, who knew what was going on and didn't understand what are these foolish adults doing? Don't they understand? Don't they see what I'm seeing? We're not safe. Who are the adults? Who's taking care of me? These people are out to lunch. They're completely oblivious. So you develop that belief that there's no one to depend on. Am I correct? I mean, tell me if this is incorrect.
I mean, yes, that's correct in my childhood. I guess I meant it more like depending on me. That is correct about my childhood.
Yeah, but it's no different.
I guess I meant
what difference does it make
like
if you're
here?
On a spiritual level? It doesn't make a difference. Truth is truth. It doesn't matter if you're the little girl or if you have a little girl or a little boy. It doesn't matter if you are the child or you're having a child. The truth remains. Nobody can be relied upon. Parents aren't safe. Adults aren't safe. They won't take care of you. So it doesn't matter if now you're the grown-up and now you're the adult. There's still a truth that you've believed in your entire life, which is little kids cannot depend on adults for safety.
Yeah. That is true. The way I look at.
Yeah.
I see like siblings parenting their children, and I'm like, wow, they're just reliving their childhood all over again, and like putting it on their children, and I see that, and I'm like, do I really need to do that? Probably not.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, this is very helpful what you're saying, because really what you're telling me is the cancer is really almost a red herring, meaning it's almost like a distraction. It seems like that's what it is. When I was in my 20s, I had cancer, and then I got through it, and I came out of it with a very bleak attitude toward life. And then I tried to follow that narrative. If you remember, I tried to follow that narrative, and I said, you don't care about life. And then you were like, well, actually, I do care about life. So then I'm like, so maybe this isn't the right track.
Yeah.
And then you happened to have mentioned twice, I don't trust people, which was great. I appreciate you giving me all the clues that I needed. By the way, in the Mishnah, there's a machlokes whether it takes 3 times to establish a pattern or 2 times to establish a pattern. It's a machlokes between Rabbi Shimon Gamaliel and Rabbi Yehuda Anasi. So Rabbi says it only takes 2 times to establish a pattern. Rabbi Shimon Gamaliel says it takes 3 times to establish a pattern. A chazaka, we call it a chazaka. So generally speaking, in most things, we say it takes 3 times. It's not a pattern until it happens 3 times. But in din and nefashos, in life and death matters, we say 2 times. So for instance, where would that apply in halacha? If parents had a son who had hemophilia and he bled, God forbid, from a bris, from a circumcision, and if it happened twice in a family, so then they don't circumcise the 3rd child, because it's a life and death issue. If it happened twice, then we have to assume it's going to happen again. Okay, so when someone's telling me their life story, to me that's life and death, even if it's not about cancer, even if it's not about bringing a baby into the world. Your life is life. It's literally, it's life. So when somebody tells me something twice, I follow the opinion of Rebbe that that's a chazaka. Anything somebody mentioned, now everyone's going to be careful when they talk to me. But if you said something twice in a short conversation, I knew it was meaningful.
Yeah.
So it seems like your insecurity as a child, not being able to trust that anyone could take care of you, that's the real source of the conflict here. And as far as like the health stuff, yeah, like we said, you'll go to a doctor, you get a clean bill of health, you'll bring it to a Rav who paskins in medical halacha, and that part will be taken care of. But what are we going to do about the fact that you've believed since you were this sensitive little girl that nobody's really fit for parenting, including yourself, I guess?
I do think I would be I hope I would do it differently. I do think like I'm capable.
So let me help you out here, because I think I've gotten to know you a little bit, and I know what speaks to you. I know your language. Okay, like when I told you to get a psak from a rav that you are capable of getting pregnant. That you liked that. Yeah. Okay. So here's what I want to tell you. You are much more comfortable with Hashem than you are with people. Me too, by the way. I'm the same way. Most people, it's the exact opposite. They're much more comfortable with people than with God, but I'm the same way. So here's what I want to tell you. It says in the Gemara Nida, Shleisha Shutfen Yesh Ba'adam. There are 3 partners in the creation of a human being. HaKadosh Baruch Hu va'aviv v'imai. The Holy One, meaning Hashem, God, the person's father, and the person's mother. So here's what I want to tell you. Your child is not relying solely on you and your husband. There are 3 partners, and that 3rd partner is the infinite God who has infinite resources. And that's who you're relying on. Now, you're going to say to me, yeah, Rabbi, that's very inspiring, but I'm not sure how real that is, because if that's true, then how come so many parents are incompetent? I mean, God was partners with them also. God was their partner also. Why were they incompetent? And I don't know if you asked that question yet, but I'm sure if I wouldn't have brought it up, then, later tonight when you're rethinking this whole thing, your smart brain would have thought of that question. So here's what I'll tell you. You understand the question?
Yes,
okay.
I'm just listening.
Okay, So here's the answer. The answer is, remember I told you earlier that I'm not really going to tell you anything that you don't already know? I'm just going to give you back what the truth that you intuitively know? Okay. That's a real truism. You can't give somebody something that they don't already have. So then what can you do is even by the way, like when a rich person gives a poor person tzedakah, the way that we look at it is that God gave the money to the rich person to hold on to, but it really belongs to the poor person. The rich person's not giving his own money to the poor person. That's poor person's money. He's just coming to claim it now, right? And same thing with wisdom. When somebody comes to learn from a teacher, the teacher is not giving his own wisdom to the student. It's wisdom that really belonged to the student all along. And that's why the best wisdom, when you hear it, you're like, I always kind of knew that. Like, I like the words that you used, but I always knew that, right? So the same thing here. This power to co-parent your child along with Hashem, that's not something that you have to go out and get. Every parent has it, but not every parent knows about it. And if they don't know about it, they don't use it. It would be like having a checking account in your name sitting at Chase Bank, and it's got $1 million in it. By the way, don't keep $1 million in a checking account, but let's pretend. And you're walking around with the ATM card and a piece of paper with the PIN number on it, but you don't even realize that you could go and make a withdrawal every day and be rich because you don't even understand what you're carrying. It's yours, but you don't even know that you've got it on you. So one of the things, I have a parenting course, by the way, and when in the right time, when it's applicable to you, I want to give you a free enrollment to my parenting course. But one of the first lessons I teach in my 6-week online parenting course is, and there's a reason why it's one of the first lessons, because it's the foundation of everything else, is this concept of the company credit card. Company credit card means if you're working for a company and you go out for lunch, you pay for your own lunch. But if the company says take out the clients for lunch, then the company credit card, right? Then the company has to pay for the lunch because you're taking out clients. When you are a parent, you partner with Hashem, you get the company credit card. And that means that you have special access to Hashem's love, Hashem's wisdom, Hashem's patience. A lot of parents don't realize they have that access, and unfortunately, their children suffer as a result. But one of the things I try to do is, there's a website you can put in and find out if, like, you have money out there that you don't know about. Like, I think, like, each state has the Department of Treasury. You can go put in your name and your Social Security, and then it tells you, oh, you don't realize Verizon owes you $300 from an account that you closed down 10 years ago in another state, right? So, and then you sort of reunite the person with their funds. One of the things I do in my parenting course is I sort of play that broker role and let people know about this power that it already belongs to them. So bottom line, here's what I want to tell you. Knowing your personality and the way that your brain works, I think this will resonate with you. I think this is speaking your language. If you have a child in the right time, and it should be in good health for you and the child, I'm telling you right now, your child is not going to have to rely on you as a human being. Your child will be relying on Hashem, and you are merely the conduit. You're the channel to bring all of that infinite blessing from Hashem to your child. But it's Hashem's child. Or like they say, God has no grandchildren. God has no grandchildren. It's not like you're Hashem's child and then your child is the child of Hashem's child, so your child is Hashem's grandchild. No. God has no grandchildren. Your child is Hashem's child directly. Hashem is taking care of your child.
I do believe that's true. That's probably how I felt as a child. So I do know that to be true.
I think that if you can really meditate on that concept, that this is Hashem's child, you are just the conduit, that you will find a feeling of safety. Not a safety that's coming from you and your hyper competence and hyper independence, but a safety that's coming from Hashem. And then I think you'll feel
so much.
that your child will be safe. And I think you'll feel hopeful about being able to have a child and many children at the right time and in good health.
Thank you so much. It would be, it could have all started with this conversation. So thank you so much.
Okay, if you want to follow up with us, for that, getting rabbinic.
I do.
Yeah. Okay. So
I don't have that. Yeah.
Do you have our email? That's how you originally contacted us, right?
Yes, I can use that email.
Yeah. Okay. So just send another email.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for being really
so
brave.
Much.
No, thank you. Really, I know you don't trust people, so this was a huge thing for you to talk to a person. But I think that I'm the right person. For a person who doesn't trust people, I'm like the right person to talk to because I don't trust people either. And at the bottom line, at the end of the day, the only thing I'm telling you to trust in is just trust in Hashem. And I know that that's something that is very natural and intuitive to you. So.
Thank you. I do appreciate your hashkafa. I was like, I've never done something like this before, and something I've just watched your videos and lectures in the last month, and I just really appreciate your perspective. And I'm really listening when you speak, and I'm like, I'm really listening when you speak, and so I decided to do this. So I've never done this before, so thank you.
So you should know about me. I was also a little kid who felt unsafe in the world because I was sensitive to everything. Yeah. So people think I'm so spiritual. I'm not so spiritual. I had to become conscious of Hashem out of necessity because people weren't doing it for me. They still don't do it for me. So that's why yeah. By the way, I jokingly, but every joke has a little truth, say that if my videos come up in your YouTube feed, that's probably the only diagnosis you need for being neurodivergent. I say it half jokingly, but at any rate, all right. I would follow up with us. I want to be in touch, and we should hear good news. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Amazing.
Thank you. And so much time.
My pleasure. Hey, this is Shais Taub. You were just watching a clip from this class. If you want to get the full context, the full class that this clip that you just watched was from, you watch right here. Click right here.